Hi, we're going to repeat a study that we did 1 month ago. We started where we had two identical humidors. At that time, they had glass tops on them. So we've decided to repeat the study with full wood humidors so that we could do measuring of the wood moisture on the lid. So what we found on the ones with glass tops is that around them, they had very high moisture levels. It seemed to be out of the ordinary for what we were measuring on the rest of the humidor. So we decided to take the glass out of the equation, restart the study. And so let me explain what we're doing. We're going to start off with wireless hygrometers. These are extremely accurate. In salt testing, they measure generally about 0.1% from the 75% target. So they might read 74.9 to 75.1. Frequently they'll read right at 75, so they're extremely accurate. We do the salt testing on each one of them to make sure. These new humidors that we got, what we did is we mapped the inside of the humidors so that we knew what the wood moisture content was at multiple places. We did 9 points on the lid, we did 9 points on the base, and then we did each side, so 4 sides. What we found is that these are reading about 53% relative humidity inside both of them. They're both very close to each other. And then for the actual moisture, we measured anywhere between 5.8 to 9.4 on one of them, this one, and then we measured between 6.1 to 9.0 on this one. So we're going to use this one for the HumiForm, and we're going to use this one for pouches. So we used a Lignomat Ligno Scanner SD, very accurate moisture meter, and mapped them out. And then what we'll do is we'll measure the wood moisture along the way after seasoning, and then at different points in the future. So what we're going to do is on this one, and the last study that we did, we actually had a holder for the pouches. And what I've been reading about more and more is that people will just set the pouches directly into the humidor. So I'm going to do that. These are 84% pouches. I'm going to put 2 of them in here. And just set it in on both sides of this wireless hygrometer. Like that, and then close the lid. Those pouches, I believe, cost around $6.50 each. I got them on Amazon, and it seems to be a typical price with shipping. For the second one, we're going to use a HumiForm Mini, and there's a couple ways to fill it. You can either take a funnel. This has got a 1/2-inch diameter. It goes right into the rubber grommet like that, kind of twist it into place like that. And then you can use a measuring cup to pour in the water. What we recommend is using, for a full size mini, it holds about 0.9 cups of water. We recommend adding a cap full of hydrogen peroxide to keep microbials from forming, which, given that these may be in there a long time, that could happen. So just a little bit of peroxide makes all the difference. The other way to fill it, and what I did here is I got a 500 milliliter bottle, filled it with distilled water. I added 2 capfuls of peroxide, and then I could just fill it up like that. So you generally only want to fill it up where it's close to the lid, but not too close. You don't want it to leak when you put in the filament. What I have here is a filament inside of a copper stanchion and T. And then what you do is preset how much of the filament you want exposed on both sides. There's a loop here, so I can have it be out more like that if I want a lot of moisture, or if I want less, I just pull it in like that. So since these are not seasoned yet, I'll probably pull it out a bit you do is you feed the filament in that way, and then just adjust how much you want. So I'm going to do about, looks like maybe 1.5 inches on each side. This filament will start getting wet in just a matter of minutes and start emitting moisture. I'm going to go ahead and set it in the middle like that. And I'll just set the hygrometer behind it, there. And that's it. Again, it's adjustable up and down, so if you, what I generally do is make it a little too high so that the lid touches it, and then just push it down like that, and now I'm at the highest point inside the humidor, so later when you're stacking up cigars, they'll be underneath the filament. Frequently, what you'll see is that once you get to equilibrium for the moisture, you may not need any of the filament exposed. You'll push this inside of the tea, and you may not even see it, so there's not really any concern or risk of soaking or ruining a cigar. But that's how we're going to start. In the last study, what we found is that we did 14 days of the seasoning with the 84% pouches per the vendor's recommendation. And we found that it never got to 84, and talked to them during the test, and come to find out they never expected to get to 84%. What it does mean is that the 84% won't be exceeded, was their response. So what we actually observed is it got up to about 78.5% relative humidity inside. And in the case of the HumiForm, it only took 5.5 days to get to 84%. So we ended up being way too high. So then it took a while to recover and bring it back down to our target of 72. So what we're going to do differently is, instead of trying to match the HumiForm to 14 days of the pouch, we're going to go ahead and we think we can season this in a few days. So what I'll do is I'll get it to 70, we'll get it stabilized. The last time we did that with a glass top, it took less than 3 days. At the end of the seasoning, I'll go ahead and do the wood moisture measurement and report that out once I think we've achieved seasoning. And then we'll compare it to the pouches as they proceed. The other thing we noticed before is that after the 14 days, that it took another 5 days to go down from 78.5 down to 72. So it's actually 19 days before you get the moisture stabilized using pouches. Again, we think we can do this in 3 days. So let's see what happens.